this gonna start? Hopefully it does. Yes. Okay, as always, I need to take like 2 seconds, and by 2 seconds I mean 20 minutes, to figure out how to promote that I am doing a live show right now. So, I'll share on Facebook. Except I don't... It always defaults to say that it's the May live stream, and it's not the May live stream. It's so weird. Stay on page. Let's just minimize that. Let's go to Twitter. I want to do the... come say hi. This is such a fascinating video. I appreciate you sticking around. Doing a live show. Come alive to a live show. Come say hi. Nope. I'm just not going to use Facebook, I guess, because it always says that it's May, and it has a screenshot of the live show I did with Matt Mort. I don't know why it does that. It screws me up every single time. Makes no sense to me. So, if there's anyone, is there anyone watching yet? Let's just see. There's one person watching. Put it onto your Facebook and Twitter and tell people that there is a live show going on right now, because apparently Facebook hates me because it does not let me share that I'm doing it. Weird, huh? All right. Well, thank you for the 2 people that are currently watching me. Let me know who you are down in the comments. I can see the live chat over here on my right. I wanted to take 30 minutes and just talk to my audience a little bit more. If you've been here before, you know that sometimes we like to play games. Sometimes I just like to talk for a solid 30 minutes. But we'll start right in with the 2 people that are watching if you want to get engaged a little bit. I oftentimes will play this game called Mind Trap. Here's the piece of paper called Mind Trap. It's a game that I both love and absolutely hate at the same time, because it's really just designed to do logic puzzles and questions that are intentionally made to trip you up. Here's a question for you, though. Assuming that you are paying, is it cheaper to take one friend to the movies twice, or 2 friends to the movies at the same time? It doesn't depend on how much popcorn they eat. So, once again, is it cheaper to take one friend to the movies twice, or 2 friends to the movies at the same time? So, stew on that. I have some stuff percolating. Oh, William, you're here. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I have to say, people that are watching live, Mr. William White, who's in the comments here right now, does a really good podcast called D20 Academy. It's a Dungeons and Dragons, is it 5th edition podcast? It's really good. I really enjoy it quite a bit. I think they're on episode 6 or 7. You should listen. I wanted to do a few different things here today. Number one, I think I was mentioning this last time, and if you've been following my channel at all, you know that I've done what I've called the pivot, with as much air quotes as I can possibly do there. So the pivot was me attempting to do a little bit of a different style, and I don't know if it's 100% been obvious that I've been doing it. So let me go. I should have been a little bit more ready than what I am. But that's part of my charm, is that I fumble along and try and do things. Okay, so let's talk about the pivot in general. I made this entire video called a pivot that I posted up on July 20th. So it's called a pivot was all about me essentially saying, things are not working 100%. I wanted to try and grow my channel. I wanted to try and do different things. I felt like I just wasn't progressing as much as I would like it. And so I said, okay, hard stop. I need to address this. This is what's going on. Hi, Christopher. Thank you for dropping by. and I wanted to change things. So I made that whole video about, okay, starting now, we're going to change things up. Now, the issue, I shouldn't say the issue, what I'd already started doing was that on Mondays I was doing this thing called MISC. And I've continued to do it, and I'm totally upfront about this, as I'm still trying to figure out how those Monday videos are supposed to work. It was designed so that I could delve a little bit deeper into the media I was consuming, and then hopefully be not a reviewer necessarily, but I just wanted to kind of celebrate the stuff that I was liking or the stuff that I was kind of wrestling with. So I'm talking about podcasts I'm listening to, TV shows I'm watching, movies I'm going to watch, and just trying to spark a conversation that way. And those videos themselves are fairly hit or miss, from what I can say. Usually they perform lower than what my regular vlogs do on Thursdays, but sometimes, very occasionally, they will spike in viewership. Not necessarily in engagement, but for an example, like the last one that I talked about, the new DuckTales and the Adventure Zone finale and Game of Thrones, has 67 views, whereas the one before it, where I talked about a podcast and a YouTube channel, only got 27. So those ones, like I say, they can vary wildly, and I don't know if it's based on the thumbnail or what's going on there. More research needs to be done, I feel, for that. So those are what the Monday videos are. The Thursday videos, though, I said, okay, I'm going to be very specific and very calculated on both the topics that I'm talking about and also how I promote it. So the very first one that I did after that was called How to Date a Bisexual. You know, flashy title, have a colorful background. There's me with the white outline around it, and it shoots up to 151. Pretty good for one of my videos, because I usually average roughly 50-ish views, I would say, per regular vlog. So the reason why it shot up, I think, a little bit was one to do with the topic, because sexuality and gender politics is really big right now on YouTube, and secondly is because I actually went and promoted it on Reddit. I went to specifically the LGBT subreddit and posted my video in it, and I just was more involved in the promotion side of things. So I just wanted to get those views up. So that worked. And then the one after that, Let's Talk About My Anxiety, again, performed a little bit better than what I normally get, 80 views this time. But my anxiety one was, again, promoted on Reddit in some of the mental health subreddits, promoted a little bit more around, and that one got shared by a couple of people. So again, got more viewership that way. So that's what the pivot has done. I'll talk about some of the other videos I made here recently and how it feels like I'm going I'm still kind of medium on viewership. But let's get back to this question, because I don't want to keep people in the lurch here. I'm sure you're just chomping at the bit to figure out what the answer is to this question. So returning to it, assuming that you are paying, is it cheaper to take one friend to the movies twice or two friends to the movies at the same time? William in the chat says it would be cheaper for two friends at once, because if you go twice, you have to pay for yourself twice. I'm pretty sure that's what the answer is going to be. So it's cheaper to take two friends at the same time. In this case, you would only be buying 3 tickets, whereas if you take the same friend twice, you are buying 4 tickets. All right. You're so smart. My audience is so smart. What's another one here? I don't want to do another math one. Let's do... This is I think this is a riddle. I haven't looked at the answers yet, so don't think I'm cheating. King Henry VIII gave his wife a bottomless container to put flesh and blood in. What did he give her? I'm going to assume this is not a guillotine joke, but once again, King Henry VIII gave his wife a bottomless King Henry VIII gave his wife a bottomless container to put flesh and blood in. What did he give her? All right, let's do on that, and concoct your own horror film. Which, by the way, Has anyone seen the new trailer for that It movie? Because this is the stupidest thing for me. I don't do well with horror movies at all. Meaning, I will go and see them. I actually, in some weird, self-flagellating way, enjoy them. But I do so terrible watching horror movies in theaters. I jump scare so badly, and meaning like I will literally like freak out, and I'm the guy who like the popcorn hits the roof anytime there's like a big scary scene or like the strings come in. And so I tend to not like to go and watch horror films in a theater. I do much better if I'm at home and watch them in the middle of the day so that I don't feel as scared. So, but that It trailer, if you don't know, I've told this story so many times, so I never know if you've heard this like a billion times already. That's right, I've said it a million times, but you might have heard it a billion times. Is when I was a little kid, my brother, who's 3 years older than I, we used to, in our old house when I was growing up, we shared a room. So he was on the far side, I was on the near side to the door. And there's one night my parents put us to bed and we couldn't get to sleep. So we snuck out of bed. We were rascals. We snuck out of bed and we went and we put the TV on low down in the basement, and we were watching television late at night. This happened to coincide with the original It, which was like this I think it was a mini series. Had John Ritter starred in it with oh gosh, what's his name? Who played It in the original one? You know, the guy from Home Alone 2. So and played Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show. So we watched that movie. And I remember vividly the scene that happens in that mini series where the clown Pennywise is in the storm drain. And so the ball has gone into the storm drain, and then the clown is standing there and he grabs the kid and pulls him into the storm drain. Scarred me for life. I am telling you, it is still one of the scariest moments of my entire childhood. Because from that day, I'm convinced, this is why, by the way, the majority of people do not like clowns. I am one of those people. I do not find them funny. I don't find them charming. They're disgusting, and they deserve to be erased from this world. I do not like clowns, and I think it's directly tied to the fact that I saw It when I was like 3 or 4 years old. However I was when I got convinced to sneak out of my bed. I was a good kid. I was corrupted by my older brother. I was the one who always wanted to follow the rules. I knew that we weren't supposed to be out of bed after a certain time. So it's his fault. Thank you, Tim Curry. Oh my gosh. The issue with my brain is that I can remember everything that someone has done and still not remember their name. It's like, yeah, you know, they premiered on Broadway in 1974 in like the West Side Story and blah, blah, blah. And like, I can literally go through their entire CV and be like, well, I don't remember what their name is. Tim Curry. Yeah, Tim Curry is great. Also was in Spamalot, which is a good Broadway show. Okay. So we said, King Henry VIII gave his wife a bottomless container to put flesh and blood in. What did he give her? I can't imagine that this is as simple as saying the guillotine, because that's obviously, I think, what they're trying to make you think. So, child, maybe? Oh, you're going to hate this, William. You're going to hate this so much. Okay, so a bottomless container to put flesh and blood in. It's a ring for her finger. A ring for her finger. It is technically a bottomless pit, but not really. A bottomless container, sorry, but not. Is it really? No. Okay, so continuing on with these videos that I've created here over the last month. I talked about my anxiety. That one was really, really well received. Like, again, going through likes and comments and stuff. The dating a bisexual one is probably the highest one. 19 comments, 15 likes, 1 dislike. Let's talk about my anxiety. Like I said, had 80 views, 19 comments again, 11 likes, no dislikes. And then we get into Donald Trump is going to kill me, which I'm still very proud about the thumbnail that I provided for that one, with Trump looking over my shoulder. I thought, this is tying directly into what the national conversation is, how more and more people are becoming even more critical of the president. I thought I would tie into that. I think the name of the video is something that didn't actually work 100%, but there was, again, a lot of engagement for this. Only 53 views, but 23 comments, 8 likes, 1 dislike. I'm not going to blame it on a Trump supporter. It just might not have been what they wanted to. The thing about me is that the videos that I tend to like, and the videos that I tend to like to make, is that I like to take a topic that people are already discussing in like the news media and in the wider world. I like to talk about it and then kind of turn it in on itself and somewhat be critical of the stance. And so that one, I don't know if I just muddied my message a little bit too much. Full disclosure, that video, if I remember correctly, I recorded, edited, and posted, I think, all on the same day. I was late on on doing stuff, so I wrote that out all the night before, looked at it again in the morning, did some edits, and then filmed it right away, edited it, and posted it without sitting and thinking about it any more than that. And I think part of what may have muddied the message a bit was that I start talking about Donald Trump and end off talking about liberalism's ideals. So there wasn't as much of a through line like there was with anxiety, like there was through talking about bisexuality. So I think that maybe I lost some people throughout that one. That's my own opinion. I don't know. But the next one, though, again, kind of back up to what we were talking before. Literal Nazis surround me. So pretty clickbaity title. 80 views, 17 comments, 21 likes, though. So this is one that has the most likes. Apparently, it is not controversial to say that you hate Nazis. So that's a good thing. That's a positive thing in the right direction. And that is, again, kind of a direct comment on, and was not actually what I was going to talk about this week. I have a document that I normally am pinpointing things I want to talk about. And so this one, I pushed some things back because, like, well, I mean, the fact that we're seeing overt Nazi rallies and marches going on in the U.S., I think needs to be addressed because it seems to be on the top of a lot of people's minds. So I decided to talk about that and also talk about my history with it. I talked about my grandfather and his fight in World War II, which, again, another full disclosure, I didn't want to bog down the video too much, even though I originally had a section on this. My grandfather passed away when I was 6 years old, so I don't have, like, really deep memories of him as much as I would like. In fact, all of my grandparents, save my grandmother, who is still alive, all passed away before I was 6. So my dad's dad, I literally have no memory of. My dad's mom, I have the barest memories of because she passed away when I was 4, I think. Something. I remember visiting her in her retirement home, but that's about it. And then really my grandma was with me for my entire life. So she's the one who I have the deepest memories of. And my grandfather I have somewhat memories of. But I still found it, it's like, I was recently visiting my parents. And my mom has all of his old war medals and all of his commissionaire's uniform and all these old pictures and stuff. And so we were just having this conversation and talking about, you know, all the medals and how he never liked talking about his time in the war. And then this stuff was happening in the U.S. I thought, what a great way to kind of tie those two together, because I think it's important to talk about it. William, I'm glad that I was right, that you hated the answer to that riddle. And then this last video that I just posted here, will I read the next Game of Thrones book? Once again, I think it's too wordy of a title. It needed to be a bit punchier, which I think was why it's not performing as well. I think I might try and post this on one of the Game of Thrones subreddits just to see if people, you know, engage with it. But currently right now, 27 views, 8 comments, 3 likes. Game of Thrones happens to be one of my favorite topics to talk about. I love nerding out about it a whole lot. I think there's a lot of things to discuss. The good and the bad that happens with the TV show, and then theories coming from the books. And it's usually a very hot topic. Usually when I post a Game of Thrones video, it usually shoots up. This one has not. But I mean, there's ones that I posted 2-3 years ago that consistently get like 50 views or 50 views, like 100 to 150 views a week still. Like, it's like they pump out, especially when the new season is out, it like, gets lots of views. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to see if I can somehow capitalize on that. How's everyone's Saturday going? I know that we have 3 people watching here currently. I'm hoping that it's nice. I will be very shortly going to a bachelor party for a friend of mine. He's, tying a knot, all that good stuff. And so we have a whole day planned of him and a group of us friends. We're going to be going to an escape room, which will be fun. I like escape rooms. We're going to go and play, I believe, laser tag, and then going out for dinner at night. So we have a bunch of different activities that we have planned. Let's do one more, and then we'll call this a wrap. Thank you so much for sticking by. Again, don't want to do a math one. Okay. Well, this is sort of math, but we'll say it's not. In Hawaii, if you drop a steel ball weighing 5 pounds from the height of 45 inches, will it fall more rapidly through water at 20 degrees Fahrenheit or water at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, or will it make no difference? So you're dropping a steel ball that weighs 5 pounds, and you're dropping it from 45 inches. I don't know if I understand the question. Then will it fall more rapidly through water at 20 degrees or at water at 40 degrees? But it says you're dropping it from a height of 45 inches. I don't know if it means when it hits the water, will it... Because technically the water would make somewhat of a difference depending on how hot or cold it is. I'm going to say no difference, but stew on that for just a couple of moments, and then we'll wrap things up. Oh, yes, okay. William points out a good thing, and this is me being a Canadian and not understanding Fahrenheit. This is me still thinking that it's in Celsius, because 20 degrees is frozen. Let's see, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, because at 20 degrees Fahrenheit, the water would be ice. See, look at that. Fahrenheit makes no sense to me, so there you go. I apologize. Me and the rest of the world salutes you that you are still the nation that decides to use the Fahrenheit scale. Yes, so now coming up, I always like to take a bit of time and give you a sneak peek of things that are, that I'm thinking and trying to do. Basically, I came up with these rules I have for the vlog on Thursdays, and I should point out too that very, very shortly, I wanted to try and start doing it this month. It's not going to happen. So it's probably going to be mid-September at some point, where I wanted to start another mini-series about me trying to learn French. So I'm just trying to figure out how those videos are going to work. But I think it's an interesting idea to watch somebody go from some basic knowledge of a language to hopefully, I don't want to say mastering it, but feeling comfortable at least having a conversation in French with somebody who is a local, either in Quebec or in France or something like that. But I've been thinking long and hard about the rules of my vlog. And so you probably have noticed, or I don't know if you probably have noticed, you may have noticed that I've started saying, oh hi, at the beginning of every video. Because that's my signature and I want to make merch. No, that's not the reason. But I just wanted to have something that people responded to right from the very beginning. It's like, oh yeah, I'm in the right place, like instinctively. And then I've really been thinking about it. I want to be considered almost the New Yorker of videos. And what I mean by that is I heard this really fascinating conversation with one of the editors of the New Yorker, and they don't necessarily want to go for the most in the news topic or the most popular topic, but they can take elements of that and do their own stories on it. And so that's kind of what I've been trying to focus on, which is, hey, there's this really interesting thing that's going on in the culture, in the zeitgeist right now, but how can I take a different look at that or come at it from a different angle but then still call it my own? And then whenever possible, I want to include other voices and other people inside of my video, which has not really happened the last couple weeks, but I did try in the Donald Trump video. I had my friend Ralph, guest star essentially in that. Coming up here though, here's what you can take a look at. I noticed interestingly, that I'm getting a bit of traction in, of all places in the world, Norway. So I want to actually honor that. So I want to do a video called "The Top Stories from Norway" and just discuss things that are happening over there. And then there's this, I think, interesting topic that can be had about, can you enjoy things from bad people? Meaning, can you still acknowledge the fact that this person over here is morally bankrupt or not really a great person, but I can still enjoy the art that they're creating, the movies that they're making, the TV show that they're creating, the books that they've written. Can those two things be true? Because I feel that a lot of times in our society right now, as soon as someone trips up or says something dumb, then it's like everything they've ever created is awful. So you can never look at any other stuff ever again because this person is awful, and by extension, if you watch it or consume it, you yourself are awful. I just think that you can. I don't know if it's an have your cake and eat it too situation, or if there's ways that we can do it. Christopher says, I love that you're going to do that. For some reason, a lot of my videos come from Vietnam. I have no idea how to use that information to encourage that growth. Sorry, I apparently can't read. Yeah, I know. I really was looking at my analytics more so here over the last couple weeks, and so just seeing how that breaks down, both like what types of people are watching, where are they watching from, where are they stop watching, and really trying to figure that out. And then William says, I have a lot to say about the death of the artist. Oh, interesting. I might hit you up then if you want to do a guest spot of talking about the death of the artist, because it is something that I constantly think about. And then lastly, I did this 3 years ago, and I promised every 3 years I would do an update. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the 7 Up series. This is a documentary series that started with kids that were 7 years old back in the, it was either the late 50s or the early 60s, but they did this short documentary on these children, and they're like, I wonder what they're going to look like in 7 years. And so they followed up with them at 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, and then 56 was the last documentary that came out. So the same filmmaker has been following these kids for almost 50 years, and every 7 years comes out with the follow-up to see exactly where these characters are. And some who you thought were really promising don't become promising, and some kind of do these really interesting life choices. Like, it's a really fascinating series if you've never seen it. It was all on Netflix in Canada. I don't know if it still is, but it was a really fascinating series. And so I wanted to adapt it a little bit for myself. So 3 years ago, I made this documentary called 31, because I was 31 at the time, talking about where I was, what my stresses were, where I hoped to be in 3 years, how I felt that other people looked at me, and then interviewed a bunch of friends around me. And so I'm going to return to those same friends, and then talk about what's where I am now, and where I thought I was going to be versus where I am, and then where I hope to be in another 3 years when I kind of rejoin this entire project. So that's what you can expect in the next few weeks. I mean, there's going to be other stuff I'm sure that jumps in. I'm being a little bit more flexible with my planning. I used to be very stringent, where I said, no, I have to talk about this topic at this time this week. But now, if something big breaks, like there's some really interesting news, I want to be able to make a video about that right away, and talk about it. And we'll see how that goes. That is all. I mean, what I want to say right now is I've been doing these live videos now each month. So when I started these live shows, I had to download a bunch of software, and so I had to figure out how to use it. And now that has to happen again, because if you don't know, I have a Patreon page where you can go and essentially be my patron, where you give a certain amount of money that you won't feel comfortable with, from $1 and up per month, to support me and the stuff that I create. So Patreon just launched a live video feature of themselves, which I know uses YouTube somehow. So that's what I'm going to go do next. So anyone who is a patron of mine will continue with a bit more live video over there. So you should expect I'm assuming, some sort of notification popping up in your email or on your app, whichever one you use. So I'm going to go and try out the Patreon live stream and see how that goes. But thank you everyone who's decided to stick with me here this morning. One last thing though, Christopher says 31 at the time, so 6 years into the future. Not a day over. Oh yeah, I don't look a day over 25. Not true. I have a good friend of mine who's like in his 40s and he looks younger than I do. This is a lot of makeup that you're seeing here right now. It is a deathly pall if you ever saw me in real life. But thank you for your kind words, Christopher. I appreciate them. So, thank you so much again, like I said, for watching. I will see you next month, if you're lucky. Have a good day.